want to begin part of the presentation part of our program. Uh, the first thing that I would just like to say is I hope that you like the innovation that we experimented with at today's luncheon, which was to have you randomly seated because we wanted to take a step toward one of the things that I'd like to see us focus on as we go forward, and that is strengthening the ties in our community across the different groups that we work in. And so one of the things I always do when I'm at an event like this is listen for kind of what's the buzz in the room. And I've been pleasantly influenced by just the buzz that's been in the room because it hasn't been because people are sitting with people who they know and talk to all the time and therefore already have things to talk about. So I hope that you've enjoyed it as well. And I would also suggest that, before you leave today, if you haven't already, that you at least introduce yourselves by name so that as we pass each other in the hall, we're able to call each other by name and make each other feel known, because I think that's important to building community. And it's very clear to me that what we are able to do here at the McDonough School of Business is not because of any one group, but it's because of all of us working together, and our real power comes from when we work in ways that create synergies and relationships across our differences and our roles. So, and we'd love to get your feedback about today's lunch and this little innovation that we've put out. But I hope you've enjoyed it. So to move us forward, what I'd like to do is have in order Norianne Sharp present some highlights for the undergraduate program, what our student population looks like this year, as well as what we have planned for the coming year. Then Carrie Pace will present on the MBA program. Paul Almeida will talk to us about executive education, and Luc Wathieu will present some of the faculty initiatives. Then I'll come back and give a kind of broad picture of the school as we move forward this year and some of the things that are top of mind for me. And hopefully we'll also have some time for a few questions that people might want to put forward. It likely is the case that I won't be able to answer the question, but there's somebody in the room that I can call on who will be able to answer the question. Okay? So with that, let me call up Norianne Sharp to present on the undergraduate program.
Thank you, David. And I think I have been given one slide in 5 minutes to talk about all the great work that my team is doing. 4 minutes. Thank you. We're very excited to report that it's been another record year in admissions. Again, we were the most selective undergraduate program at Georgetown. That means that we accepted the lowest percentage of students of all 4 schools, a really stellar pool this year. We also experienced the highest yield of all 4 schools. And those of you who follow higher education, to have yields in the high 56 to 59 percentile range is enormous. The typical yield for higher education programs is in the mid to high 40s. So we were really thrilled. I worked very closely and very hard with Charlie Deacon to really get the word out about the fantastic things that my team is doing. And our team works very closely with Charlie's team in terms of providing information sessions, campus tours, getting prospective students into your classrooms to really feel the undergraduate experience. So we're very excited about that. In terms of a few highlights for this past year, I just wanted to mention that we continue to expand the first-year seminar. We were able to add 2 new sections this year thanks to the generosity of a few donors. And I really wanted to thank the co-directors. Dean Patricia Grant and Professor Jay Brennan this year are doing a fantastic job. And Professors Ernst, Angel, Dong, Brennan, Scuba, Andreasen, and Daly for teaching in the program. It continues to really be a gem, and one that our students, as they progress through the program, continue to remark that it is one of their most favorite experiences of their undergraduate career. We've launched a new global business experience program for undergraduates, and I did this in partnership with Ricardo Ernst, so thank you to him. We launched it in January. He taught a 3-credit course, pretty much modeled after the MBA model, and then we focused this year on the Spanish economy and political situation, and the students had outside speakers, visited with ambassadors, and we took them to Barcelona for a week in March for their site visits and presentations to corporate executives. So thank you to Professor Ernst. Really exciting development is we are able to launch a new undergraduate Office of Professional Development, which is located downstairs off of Shea Commons and will be directed by Assistant Dean Rebecca Cassidy. And this program is meant to add on and complement to what the students are able to get from the Coley Career Education Center over in the Levy Center, and provide more customized programming and career coaching for our students. I would add that for all of these 3 programs, the first-year seminar, the Global Business Experience, and the Office of Professional Development, I really owe a great deal of thanks to the generosity of our board members, our alumni, and our donors, without whom we would not be able to expand any of these programs. In terms of looking forward to 2015, 2 years ago I started a new program, a social internship program in Nicaragua. Once again, a donor has stepped forward and we are able to expand this program. We're going to be joining forces with the new Beck Center for Innovation, and we hope to send approximately 12 students next summer down to Nicaragua to donate their business skills to the Fabretto Foundation. In addition, we are launching a new summer program in Hong Kong, and I thank Professor Arthur Dong for his fantastic partnership and leadership in that effort, and he's working with Assistant Dean Manisha Amani on trying to get that new summer program up and running. And that will complement our existing summer programs in Oxford, led by Professor Anderson, in Barcelona, led by Professor Scuba. I'm told I have 1 more minute. Okay. New modules. We have been running programs for the last 3 years for master's students at ESADE, and we are adding a 2nd module for them in April. We're very excited by this because we're very pleased with the customized teaching and programming that we're able to offer those students. It really is a terrific source of revenue for us, so we're thrilled to be expanding that program for ESADE. And I thank Professors Ernst, Weymouth, and Scuba for teaching in that program, because as with anything else, the success of the undergraduate program is due to the teamwork of all of the staff in my office, all of the staff and team at admissions, and all of you as faculty, so thank you.
Good afternoon. See if I can get this to the MBA programs. So this has been an exciting time. It's an exciting year for all aspects of our MBA programs, not just admissions, but also career and things that are going on in the program office. As you will see from the slide, there we go. As you can see from the slide, we've had an incredibly successful year with admissions. A few points I'd like to emphasize is not only are our numbers up, but our admissions team has brought in more qualified and a more diverse group of students. Note the increase in women, in underrepresented minorities, and in international students. It's especially exciting this time that we're partnering partnering with organizations such as Forte, who works with women in business in all levels, also NSHMBA, the National Society for Hispanic MBAs, and the Consortium for Graduate Study and Management. This is our first year in the consortium, and not only were we selected, but we were ultimately chosen to be one of their member schools. So it is great that we are welcoming 11 students from this partnership. Not only are we bringing in excellent students, but our career team is actually bringing up so many different opportunities, and so we're having more and more success on the career side as well. Our full-time class of 13 students, 88% of them, within 3 months of graduation, had full-time positions with an average salary of $102,177. For our full-time 14 class, of those searching for internships, 100% found them, so that's very exciting. And there's been a real boost in on-campus recruiting with our Career Center. The opening term for new students, you guys might have seen that we have lots of new students already here. They are, as of tomorrow, will have completed 4.5 credits. So that is quite an accomplishment. A big stretch out to all of our faculty that are with the accounting and the SGI, who are working very, very hard to get them through, so thank you. So the opening term does end tomorrow, and it was kicked off this year by a fully revised MBA orientation. We changed the orientation this year, designed and delivered in more of a professional conference style. It was very successful. We've gotten some great feedback from students and from the faculty and staff that participated. As most of you know, we've just completed the second year of the fully revised MBA curriculum, so it's time to take a close look again. That is already underway, so we're going to be looking closely at the curriculum over the next year. Elaine, who sends her regrets that she's not able to be here today, is working very hard on connecting and developing relationships with alumni across the country and really across the world. She and Sherry just returned from a very successful trip in Bogota and Monterrey, and where they met with a lot of terrific alums and some great prospective students. I understand last year's trip yielded 4 just from Monterrey alone that have been really outstanding students. So that's really exciting. And finally, we are very excited that Dean Thomas has authorized raising funds for MBA scholarships as a top priority. The strategic focus on MBA scholarships will be a major, major focus for us this year. I think Elaine wants to deliver some excellent news, hopefully very soon, so that's exciting, but that's going to be something that Elaine and her team, all of us, will be really focused on over the course of the year. So that is, in a very quick nutshell, what the MBA programs are up to. It's now a pleasure to bring up Paul Almeida.
I don't want to lose a single second of my 5 minutes. So I have one slide. Oh, not good slide. And 5 minutes to give you a glimpse into our 6-degree programs, our 25-plus non-degree programs, and acknowledge and even celebrate the successes of our wonderful team of 22, over 125 faculty who have taught in our programs over the last year, our 16 academic directors. So thank you all. So when I walk along the hall, the most common greeting that I get is, "So how much money have you made for us?" The answer is lots. But ExecEd is not just about making money. It must be about not monetizing, but enhancing our prestige. I assume you belong to ExecEd. And it must be about taking us as a school and as a university into the future landscape of business and higher education, allowing us to compete successfully 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 15 years from now. That is why we're here. if you look at our rankings, I want to make this point that most business schools may have one undergraduate program or one full-time MBA program. Most of the top business schools have several executive MBA programs. Kellogg has 4. And in this highly competitive environment, we have amongst the best rankings in the university. And that's, again, thanks to our staff, thanks to our faculty, and thanks to the academic directors. Thank you again. You're being very polite. I thought I heard earlier the dean instructed us to call each other names. Was that what you said? Come on. I'm particularly thrilled about the custom ranking for this reason. 3 years ago, we weren't even eligible to be ranked, and this is based on corporate feedback. And it's kind of nice once in a way to be ahead of Harvard and Wharton and Columbia and NYU. In fact, if we had the money, I was going to make caps for all of you saying, Wharton who? But the most exciting part about ExecEd is actually the innovations. We are trying to step into the future through what we do. And the Master of Science in Finance is an example of that. Alan Eberhardt, the finance faculty, and actually way beyond the finance faculty, have done an extraordinary job. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's unpredictable. Yes, it's very different. But it's building the skills and the recognition that's going to be critical to our success in the future. That's why we're so proud. People ask me, what is a premium online program? It can't possibly exist. How can you charge more than $2,000 per credit? Who will come? We've had over 430 applications in just 1 year. Our acceptance rate has been less than 26%. And our evaluations have been amazing. So again, thank you all. You are creating the capabilities, I'm sure, that'll stand us in wonderful stead 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and into the future. We run global programs all over the world and do it amazingly. By the way, Madagascar sounds cool. It's not like the movie. When the wireless doesn't work, when the water runs brown from the faucets, and you still have to deliver a world-class program in a country you've never been to, which is better than all our best competitors, because you're charging them the same rates. That's what it takes. And that's why it takes great faculty and great staff and great organization. And that's why we're proud as well. Now, we're going into the future. We've had some great programs. By the way, I hope you know, we trained all the university top leadership recently, and they were very impressed. They said, this is what business schools do. They're going to be nicer to you now. They still won't give you anything, but they'll be nicer, I promise you. We're very close to opening in next year. Luke is leading this. An Ember in China with a partner, Xiamen. We made sure the weather's good over there when choosing the location. Just this week, we've signed programs with Community Connections, with a holding company in Colombia, which accounts for 7% of the Colombian economy, a Singapore organization, and, of course, the AARP. By the way, I wish I wasn't so close to the AARP. I got my first card last year. I tore it up. But if any of you want an early AARP card, I've got influence. I'll get one for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. I want to have some kind of little game here. I'm going to list a bunch of faculties and what they do. And of course, most of the faculty in this room will not be in that list. And they could have been in this list. This is just illustrative, right? So you could be, you should be in this list. Try to suspend your envy or anything like this, okay? So listen to this list, and as you hear the list, observe and listen to the words and feelings that form in your mind, okay? And then we'll have a little discussion where I want to hear what came to your mind. And of course, negativity is forbidden. So let me start with this list of illustrations. Bob Bees teaches leadership and management to DC Public Schools principals. Brad Jensen brings his research and knowledge in international economics and business to wonderful MBA experiences in the SGI. Kathy Tinsley leads a Women in Leadership initiative, largely based on her research insights. Ricardo Ernst, him again, for the same reason in this list, is expanding the global business experience across programs for our students. Reena Agarwal will serve as a senior advisor to India's reform of their financial and banking system. Prashant Malavia has joined at the White House what they call the Behavioral Squad, which is actually a social and behavioral sciences team. And their goal is to help implement policies as efficiently and effectively as possible through the insights of behavioral science. Turan Bali has published 9 top articles in the last 3 years, contributing to our collective effort of doubling the number of top publications between 2010 and 2013. So, okay, what comes to your mind? Anyone, raise your hand. What came to your mind? What's the word? Jeff. Let me, when I teach, I take the discussion and I repeat what the student says. So you mean we want more of this? What else comes to your mind? Go ahead. Excellence. That says it all. Well, in fact, this list was designed to illustrate that we are working on excellence in research that impacts practice, on transformational education, global, and service to business and society. The themes of the Dean. Unknowingly, without intentionally going there, because it's in our bones, we're delivering on the promise of this administration by doing more of what we do best. And also, I think in many of these examples, by just trying to think more about our ideas first, right? Research is really nurturing the passion in all of these initiatives. So that's perhaps the reason why so many of the people in my list were a little bit more senior. But whatever result and energy they have comes from their long-standing quest of knowledge. Now, what are we going to do this year? Okay, I call it faculty momentum. Okay, faculty momentum. We will keep recruiting people. We will have a lot of promotions this year. So I wanted to ask everyone in the room to be diligent and passionate and professional and maintain high standards at all times as we go through these career advancement of our professors. We'll have new initiatives to support people who have just been tenured. We have this new system of term associate professors. Vlad Babish and Deborah Thompson are benefiting from this. They have a 5 years Dean's Fellowship equivalent, just to make sure that their effort continues. And of course, those who don't get that system, are also encouraged to keep working. We also want to keep working on our intellectual life. So the PhD initiative, in fact, has been quite successful so far, in the sense that we actually have 3 groups in finance, international business, and marketing who collectively work towards making a strong proposal. And that will take the time it takes, but we are committed to make it happen as soon as we can. We want to support programs, and all the faculty has and will continue to be very dedicated to this. We want to support new programs. We want to support existing programs in their reforms. There will be a review of the new MBA curriculum this year. And we generally want to help our programs to be as well ranked as we can. There is this other concept of principal leadership, which I think is really also a competitive advantage of the place, which is also kind of in our bones, but spread all over across, right? So what we will try to do this year is, as much as we can, and we already started last year, try to socialize a little bit the discussion with the ethics group, but also beyond, in any area. What is our concepts of principal leadership? Is there a way for us to make this meaningful so we can just keep integrating it as smoothly as possible? So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much. And now the floor to David.
Okay. Thank you, Norianne, Carrie, Paul, and Luke. Luke actually anticipated where I was going to start my remarks, which is that one reason why I wanted this not to simply be the Dean Show, but for you to hear from people who are providing the leadership across the school, is so that you could get a sense that, one, this is a team that we're all part of making things happen here. I hope you also got a sense of the forward momentum and the trajectory that we are on across all of our different programs. And I was also, as I reflected on today's comments, and you'll notice that if any of you who were here, this is now the start of my 4th year, so any of you who were here in 2011, you might remember or not my first State of the School speech. Guess I'm feeling inflated sense of importance since Luke referred to this administration's agenda. I came with about 26 slides, right? And the next year, I think I boiled it down to 15. And this year, I have no slides. Because I really wanted to share with you a set of reflections about where I think we are. And I remembered that first talk, and I had gone around and I had interviewed close to 100 people, staff and faculty, in that first, I think I was named the last week of May as the dean, and I started coming down a couple of days a week through June and August, and then I was here all August, and about this time, I had to give the State of the School speech. And I remembered when I was told I had to give the State of the School speech, I said, okay, I'll give it in February. And they said, no, you have to give it, on this date, this week, because this is what we do. And I said, well, I won't know the state of the school. Yeah, it was brand new. But what I did in those interviews was I sort of tried to understand what's the mission of the school. No one could tell me. So I changed my search to ask the question, what's the DNA of this place that if we deliver on it in more and more powerful ways, we can make a difference in the world and distinguish ourselves as a business school? And then I asked the question, and what are the accelerants? What are the things that, if we focus on those, they will accelerate the rate at which we can move to achieve that aim? And the aim became to be one of the preeminent business schools in the world, and to be, as I borrowed this phrase from Ricardo Ernst, who's been mentioned many times today, the destination for global business education in the world. And I came up with 5 things. 3 of them are the DNA, and 2 of them are the accelerants. And it was great to hear them come alive in the presentations of the people who preceded me. The first was a transformational educational experience. It's part of the DNA of Georgetown. Talk to people who are alumni here. I wanted us to focus on doing that with intent, being intentional about it. And I see how each of our programs, whether it's undergrad, MBA, executive, have focused on that. And with the support of our staff, not just our faculty. To embrace global in all that we do, because global is part of the DNA of this place. And I hope you've heard that in the themes of the 4 presentations that preceded me. And we're doing a number of things to expand and deepen in that area. We're now rolling out something called the 12 City Strategy, where we've identified 12 cities in the world that we want to systematically touch in various ways every year to plant the imprint of the McDonough School of Business as a global business school, and to create synergies across the various activities that we do. The third theme that I talked about was being in service to business and society. And we are focused on that in a variety of ways. Luke talked about wanting to bring more intentionality to how we think about principal leadership and how we build that into our programs. We're also launching this year, with the leadership of Jim Moore, a business and public policy initiative, because we have so many faculty and activities at the school that are at this intersection of business and society. We thought that we needed some kind of umbrella activity that would bring attention to it, to outside constituencies, but also make it more visible to our internal constituencies, in particular, our students. And Jim Moore has been doing a fantastic job of bringing together a set of activities around that and visibility, including working with our MBA program around the development of a business and public policy certificate that we'll also do with the collaboration of our law school and our public policy institute, because we think there's a great moment for the university at that intersection of business and public policy with the development of the McCourt School. And so those 3 themes I saw as the DNA of the school: transformational education experience, embracing global in all we do, in service to business and society. That's the DNA of this school, the DNA, I believe, of Georgetown. And then how do we deliver on that at the McDonough School of Business is what we're in pursuit of, and what I think we have made tremendous progress and strides with the innovations that have been set forth by members of our faculty and staff. And then the accelerants. If we focus on these, it allows us to do the first 3 faster. Research, excellence in research to impact practice. And Luke gave great examples of people on our faculty who are really, their work is emblematic of that theme, that our end game is not simply to delight other academics, but it is to have an impact on the world and on practice. And if we do that and we bring that into our classroom, if we bring that to how we shape those activities around global and that transformational educational experience, we will move even faster on the trajectory that I think we're on. And the 5th theme that I articulated in 2011 was to create a community of philanthropic leadership to support the work of the school. And here too, if you listen closely to Norian's presentation, and she talked about some of the innovations that are happening at the undergraduate level, she punctuated several of them by saying, and through the generosity of donors. we've been able to create the global business experience at the undergraduate level, to expand what I think is one of the great innovations of undergraduate business education, the first-year seminar, and do a number of other things. Likewise, with our centers and initiatives, the leaders of those centers and initiatives have been entrepreneurial and innovative in bringing support from alumni and from corporations to the work that we're doing here because of their ability to articulate why it's important to have excellence in research that impacts practice. But that's through that philanthropic leadership. And, you know, some highlights on the philanthropic side, when we, in 2011, our capital campaign goal was $100 million. Last year, we raised our target to $125 million. Some people in the university sort of wonder, well, you know, why would you raise your goal? Because if you don't, you know, if you raise it and you don't make it, you kind of look like, you know, you're losers, and you're 100 million, you'll probably make it. Right now, we are already just a bit above $90 million in pursuit of the $125 million goal. And with the leadership of Tilly Carpenter and her team, we are fairly confident that at the end of this capital campaign in 2016, we will blow past the $125 million mark, which we think more represents what the needs and ambitions are of the school. And it's shaped not just by Tilly and I thinking about where we can get money, but also by asking, you know, our units, what do we need to really accelerate our trajectory? And the MBA program came up with the focus around scholarships. And that's our focus at the MBA level. So for me, there's lots of evidence that those 5 themes that I said would guide my first term as dean have been taken up by you, and that we have accelerated and steepened the trajectory of the McDonough School of Business. And all you have to do is go into the blogosphere or the Twitter sphere, right? And there's a buzz about us. Poets and Quants, which is kind of the blog for business schools, just did a great article about how our admissions this year are defying gravity in business schools because we're up. The industry's basically flat. We're up both in terms of numbers and quality. So just in a variety of ways. So let me say a bit about the focus for the year coming up. Major focus is going to be around the financial model of the school. It's no secret to many of you that the university is challenged in some ways around the finances of the university, and that has put pressure on us from a budgetary standpoint. That said, no one should wonder about the financial health of this school. We're part of a broader university, but we are doing well. And with the leadership of Lynn and her team, we have no worries about our ability to maintain the health and trajectory of the school. Also, I don't see us launching a slew of new programs in the way that we've done in the previous 3 years, but really focusing on continuous improvement, because I think that we've got a model now that will work for us and drive us to the next level. And I think part of that is also being focused on operational excellence. And we've initiated a project where we've had a consultant come in and interview the leaders of our various programs, as well as people what I would consider sort of our middle management layer, who are just below the operating committee in terms of reporting, to identify themes that cut across units that we might begin to work on that will do two things: drive our operational efficiency, but also help us to improve the way that we work across the various silos of the institution to create synergies. Because we think that's the next phase of driving performance. Our consultant came and presented to the operating committee a few weeks ago, and in a couple of weeks we'll come back and present to the broader group of middle managers, and we hope that what will come out of that are some very well-defined initiatives for how we can begin to improve our operational excellence. I've already talked about the Business and Public Policy Initiative that Jim Moore is leading, that will launch on October 15th. We'll do the formal announcement. And the last thing is the extension of our work around global. I've referred to something called the 12 City Strategy that will roll out this year. And we are continuing what we launched last year called the Dean's No Borders Tour. So if you got a dean who's talking global, he's got to go global. And I will this year be in India, the Asia Pacific Rim, Europe, and the Middle East, as well as at the end of September, with my colleague Reena Agarwal, we will be going to Tanzania. And we're very excited about what may be the possibility for the McDonough School of Business and Georgetown University to help around the issues of business education and development and governance on the continent of Africa. There we have one of the world's youngest billionaires, who is an alum of the school and committed to the school, who's also on our board of advisors, Mohammed Douj, who we hope will be our collaborator in figuring out how we can make a difference there. So that's just a picture of the things that are top of mind for me as I think about how we enter and launch into this, what I'm happy to say is my fourth year, the beginning of my fourth year as Dean of the McDonough School of Business. Some of you have also been worried about the fact that I've been commuting for 3 years. I'm also happy to say that my youngest child has now successfully landed, not to my dismay, not at Georgetown, but I dropped him off at USC last week, so I'll also have weekends available. And hopefully I'll be able to spend even more time with you, because I know Matt told me that people kept worrying whether or not, I was actually committed to being here. And, I was like, what are you talking about? He said, well, you commute all the time. I said, okay, I'll tell people I'm committed to being here. and I love being here. This is truly an honor and a privilege to be the Dean of the McDonough School of Business. So I want to thank you. So I'll stop there. And do we have any time left? I'll take a couple of questions if there are questions.
We're obviously on a very positive momentum here, and it's terrific. But I'm also curious to know, what are the major challenges that you think the school faces?
What are the major challenges that we face? I think a couple of things. One, and I look over and I see my predecessor who left me such a great platform, George Daly, who probably understands this better than anyone in the room, and that is, if there's one area where I think I've got to do a better job, it's helping the broader university really understand what a top-tier business school is and the fact that it has to have a distinctive business model that's different from the rest of the university. And because our history is that we grew up out of the undergraduate operation of the university, there's just not a real deep understanding of what that means, what it means from a financial model standpoint, what it means from the standpoint of we have such great capacity to be entrepreneurial and innovative, and creating the right governance structure that allows us to maximize on our potential is probably the greatest challenge that I think we face, because internally I think we now have planted the seeds to address many of the bumps that are in the road for our progress. Another challenge for us, and is growing the faculty. And growing a faculty that can do all that we need a faculty to do, right? Excellence in research to impact practice, transformational educational experience, to be global in its orientation. All of those things, there's no, there are very few faculty members that you can hire off the street who are ready to do all those things. So we have to have an internal development process that creates those kinds of faculty. How we do that with intentionality, I think, is one of the challenges that Luke and the area coordinators need to become even more focused on as we move forward. And then the challenge that's far out on the horizon is all the things out there to disrupt higher education as we know it. We have a model in our head that's still a bricks and mortars model, and there are lots of forces outside that are moving in a direction that some people think is going to disrupt higher education the way we know it. And we have lots of energy inside higher education and inside this building that if we aren't careful, we can wind up, as the digital equipment company that didn't believe that there'd be a day when people could just have on their desk a computer as powerful as the big box that they were selling, right? And they passed over lots of opportunities to get into that business. And so, that's why I think the work that Paul and Alan are leading around online education is important, not just so we can have more online education programs, but so we can understand how to use technology to make us more powerful on the hilltop, more powerful in our bricks and mortar value proposition. It's what I think is kind of out on the horizon. There was a question back there, yeah?
Can you comment or update us on where we stand with the Tysons program?
Where we stand with the Tysons program. So we delayed opening the Tysons program last year for two reasons. Our financial model thought that we would have a class of 40 students. We could do it without any financial stress on us at 25. We knew that we could mount a class of 25, but we weren't where I thought we needed to be to take that risk and to make sure that we had proven the model, the market model. So this year, we are engaging in an effort to raise to get the number of applications we think we need to keep the quality as high as the quality of the folks who are in our present program. We also were hampered last year because of quite frankly, the bureaucracy of the university. We only had about 2 months to market that program really aggressively because it took us that long to get approvals. So we're optimistic, and Tyson's is still on the agenda to launch in the fall of, or the fall summer of 2015. Okay, one more question.
Can you talk a little more specifically about the fundraising activities that you guys are doing now and how we might help? How we might
Great.
best help?
Great, great. I always love it when people say, how can we help? We now, for the first time in my tenure, have a fully staffed development operation with Tilly and Colleen and Sharon and Elizabeth all together, and Tabitha. We've got a full team. So now we have, you know, to coin a phrase that you hear on TV every night, we have lots of boots on the ground. We've also identified a set of prospects that, you know, if you will, mark us to that 125 and exceeding that $125 million goal. One of the most important things that I think we're doing as well is really starting to get, and some have already been there, engaged the leaders of some of the activities here that we think our donors are most interested in supporting. Entrepreneurship, financial markets and policy. I'm looking at you because of our Women's Leadership Initiative and business and public policy, our efforts around global, and developing, if you will, what our storyline is around those, so that we go out in a much more powerful and effective way to articulate what we're trying to do in each of those realms. And we already see evidence of alumni and other supporters being willing to step up around that. So, you know, Carrie alluded to it. We think that in the not too distant future, we're going to be making an announcement that we've had a group of alumni step up to give us about a $2 million seed fund as a start on the MBA scholarships. You know, we're headed to California next week, where I'll be talking to a donor about some of the work that we're trying to do around the Women's Leadership Initiative. Because now I think we've got a storyline. Ricardo's been very successful developing support around our Global Business Initiative, and we think that with Norianne, we think that soon we'll be making a significant announcement about a joint program with SFS and the McDonough School of Business that's focused around international global business education. So I think where we're at now is identifying that donor pool and connecting to them. I think Tilly and her group have made tremendous progress there, and now we're honing our story. And where people in the room can help us is bringing to our attention, in particular, faculty who've been around for a while, who are alumni out there that they're connected to, and making sure that we're connected into them. Being willing to call or go on the road with us, you know, and a number of faculty have already been helpful in that regard. Another way faculty can be helpful that you don't think of that helps us in fundraising is when you get a call from Chris Cormus's office, you know, oftentimes it's from Teresa, to talk to the press. Talk to the press. We need to create buzz about the school. Can't tell you what a difference it's made when I talk to alumni that they hear about things that are happening here at the school. When we were named #1 in finance at the undergraduate program level, and you know, it's great how rumors morph, right? So we got named #1 in finance at the undergraduate level. I'm in London, sitting on a bus. It's for this John Carroll Georgetown weekend. I'm sitting next to this woman, and she's trying to figure out who this guy is, right? And so we get off the bus, and she's interrogating me, and I have yet to say that I'm dean of the business school. You know, she's asking me these questions. Where are you from? I tell her where I'm from. You know, but she's really trying to get to you don't, you know, like, why are you here? So an alum of the school hears this conversation, comes up behind us, and he says, he's the freaking dean of the business school. It's the #1 business school in the world. Hey, we were #1 in finance, but it morphs. And likewise, you know, when alums pick up the newspaper or magazine and who they see being quoted as an expert on this topic that's about what's really going on in the world is from Georgetown. I'm sitting at lunch and they say, oh, you know, I was reading this article and blah, 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 blah. You guys are doing that at Georgetown? Well, you know, I'm pretty good on the stumps, so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I didn't know we were doing that, but I guess we are now, and it's important, right? So getting out there and being part of, you know, helping to create that buzz about what we're doing is important, as well as, you know, not being shy about bringing to us innovative ideas that we may not be able to figure out how to support. But if you bring them to us, we at least know they're out there and they're on our screen, okay? So we're past, I think, the witching hour. I just want to say a few things before I end. First, you were asked to hold on to your tickets, and if your ticket has a yellow sticker, please see Julia Newton to claim your prize. So there's a reward for participating in our seating innovation for someone in the room. You get a prize. Does anybody have the yellow sticker? A number of people. Okay, there they are. Let's clap for them. They're the lucky ones. I just want to end by thanking a few people because one of the things that I've become acutely aware of in my time as dean is that, you know, when things go well, they're the people who are sort of front stage. We're like, you know, the actors in a play. But the reason they went well is because of all the things that happen backstage that people can't see. But without them, none of this would be made possible. And first among those is Julia Newton and Luca Levy. Our tech crew, Chris Critchfield and Gary Lyon. Can't tell you how many times they've saved me, made me sound better than I actually do. We've been challenged by the University of North Carolina's Business School for the Ice Bucket Challenge. A challenge which deep in my soul I wanted not to take up. Because people like to throw cold water on the dean without the challenge. Now there's a challenge, so I can't avoid it. So tomorrow we are taking up at 6 p.m. The Ice Bucket Challenge. And so any of you who are courageous enough to step up to the Ice Bucket Challenge, meet us on the lawn. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming, and I wish you a great year.